dee dum, and we are recording. Guess what, folks? It's a Sunday. Yes, it fucking is. Time for a bit of WhatsApp. So, honest, the colour balance isn't off. I'm really looking this pale and dead right now. To say that the last 3-4 weeks has been rough is a bit of a fucking understatement. Quite, I'm still hearing traces of it in the throat. So it was like something like 3.5 weeks ago, laryngitis. This isn't the laryngitis. This is something completely fucking different. But yeah, 4 weeks ago it was laryngitis, which I occasionally get now and again. So the laryngitis clears up, and I'm like, yay! Then I started getting a hacking cough, and I thought, okay, that's not a good sign. I thought that's just another chest infection. It happens at the beginning of the year all the time, but changing the season, the colder weather and shit. Then I started getting stabbing pains when I was breathing, and I've had that before, and I thought, okay, that's not good. If it gets any worse, or I get a temperature, it's time to call 111. It got worse and I got a temperature, so I called 111. Yeah, and they sent me straight to hospital because apparently it could have been pneumonia. So into the hospital, they took tests and samples, and it was pneumonia, bacterial based pneumonia. Fuck knows where I got it from. Honestly, I don't fucking know, because I don't go out the house that much. I don't. So my mother dearest hasn't got it. She's fine. So yeah, bacterial pneumonia. So it was like they caught it extremely early. But when I was in the hospital for about 3 days, as they were observing me, about 3/4 of the people that was in the same ward as me were in for exactly the same thing. And one of the nurses basically turned round and said, this is the worst they have seen it since COVID. It's the worst they've seen it since COVID. There was actually people on hospital trolley beds out in the corridors as well. 2 people actually died while I was in the ward with the same complaint, bacterial pneumonia. And the surgeon, it wasn't the surgeon, it was one of the doctors or the surgeons. On the last day I was there, as they were getting ready to basically sign me out with a shitload of antibiotics, basically said, Mr. Mullen, you are lucky you gave up smoking when you did, because if you were still a smoker, you would be in here for a lot longer, or you may have ended up dead, because the bacterial pneumonia that you have is the same problem bacterial pneumonia that we've been seeing in this hospital and other hospitals up and down the country for at least the past month to month and a half. It seems to be some kind of, it's not an epidemic, but it's getting close to it. And there seems to be a lot of people that are coming under the same problem. Some people just end up with a sore throat and a chesty cough. Other people who are already ill with other chronic problems, like me, they end up with bacterial pneumonia. So it's been a rough 3 or 4 weeks, folks. It's been a rough 3 or 4 weeks. But once again, the NHS, for all the problems that it's having, still a damn good service. Anyway, so it's been a bit of a break since the middle of March going into the beginning of April. But as you've probably seen, this week 3 reviews went up. Now granted, 2 of those reviews were already recorded before I fell ill. I just never had the chance to actually get the damn things edited and uploaded onto the channel. One of the reviews, I think it was the Deliciou review, was actually recorded this week. That's why the audio was fucked, because I was trying to cover up the fucked up throat, because the throat was much more worse when I actually recorded that Deliciou review. But there we go. There's actually a number of things to actually cover in this one, and I did take notes for a change, so I don't fucking forget what I'm saying. Oh right, yeah. Completely forgot about this. March the 28th, which is long gone because I was spending March the 28th in hospital, I think. I was. I was in the hospital on March the 28th. That would have been the 10-year anniversary of this channel. 10 years doing this. 10 years. Fucking hell. So it would have been the 10-year anniversary of the channel, and I was either just in the hospital on the 28th. I think I was just in on the 28th. Yeah, just in. So yeah, 10 years doing this. I mean, if anyone remembers if anyone's been following this channel from the very beginning, this channel wasn't even supposed to last 10 years, because the original premise of Vaping with Vic at the very beginning in 2014 was to basically vlog myself giving up smoking using e-cigarettes. And the entire premise was, I give up smoking, I use the e-cigarette, and then 30 days later I basically wean myself off of the electronic cigarette and just quit nicotine altogether. Well, that didn't happen. Yeah, that didn't happen. Here I am, 10 years later, still vaping away and doing all sorts of reviews. But that was the original premise of the channel back then. The original premise, it was supposed to be a vlog that documented me giving up smoking and then ultimately giving up vaping. The trouble is, I like nicotine. What can I say? I like nicotine. And plus, Trip Hammer. I don't even know if Trip Hammer are still going. I haven't bought anything from Trip Hammer for years, but Trip Hammer decided to start sending e-liquids into the channel for review, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll keep this review thing going then. Yeah, Puro Santa Clara. That's what got me hooked on naturally extracted tobaccos. Puro Santa Clara. It was a light cigar based NET from Trip Hammer, because I think Trip Hammer, from what I remember, they were the first major e-cigarette company that was UK based. They're based down in England. They were the first major e-cig company and e-liquid maker in the UK to actually do British based extraction. So it was cold extraction process. That's what Trip Hammer used back then. It wasn't the warm extraction. It was cold extraction processed NETs. And Puro Santa Clara, the flavour was fucking phenomenal. At least for then, it was phenomenally. It was a phenomenal NET. For 2014, it was phenomenal. But it's kind of outclassed now though, because of the hot process and warm process extraction system that they're now doing for NETs, but back then it was all cold process. Sort of the same kind of process that Les Pickens started using when he was still alive for the juice cabin. But the cold process that Trip Hammer done was a shorter process compared to what Les Pickens came up with for the old Simply Leaf line. But Puro Santa Clara, that was a good tobacco flavour, that one. Good tobacco flavour. And here we are, 10 years later, still doing this, when the channel was only supposed to be running for like 30 days. 30 days. That's what I thought to myself. 30 days tops, Vic. You'll start vaping. First video went up on March the 28th. And I thought to myself, you know, by April 17th, April 18th, something like that, you'll start weaning yourself off the electronic cigarette and you'll give up nicotine altogether. That didn't fucking happen. That really didn't fucking happen. Now I chain vape, just like I chain smoked back in the day. But chain vaping is far more safer than chain smoking. That's for fucking sure. And I won't forget the words that the doctor said. If I was still a smoker with the bacterial infection that I had, I would probably still be in hospital. And the doctor basically turned around and said, if you were still smoking at the rate you were smoking 10 years ago, in other words, chain smoking, like my dad, it would be 50-50 whether you would survive it. The bacterial pneumonia. It would have been 50-50. Because I think from what he said, bacterial pneumonia is easier to treat than viral pneumonia. Viral pneumonia is the one that you've got to look out for. Bacterial pneumonia, as long as they catch it early, there's a good chance you'll survive it. And I mean, I've had pneumonia before. I knew what the signs were. Stabbing pain in the chest, high fever. If you get both of those at the same time, call 111. Simple as that. If you get one of them without the other, there's a chance you probably don't have pneumonia, but you're better calling 111 if the fever doesn't dissipate, or if the stabbing pain in the chest when you're breathing gets worse, because it could be pleurisy and not pneumonia. Either way, call 111. But I've had pneumonia before, long time ago now. Long time ago when I was still smoking, actually. I was in hospital for 3 weeks with that one. This time around I was only in hospital for 3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 days, drugged up in fucking antibiotics. But yeah. Also, there is a severe lack of reviews. In the review queue, which is in the table behind me, there's only 2 items, and there's 2 more items that are coming in this week. And the reason there's a lack of reviews is because I have decided, due to the United Kingdom government essentially banning disposables at the beginning of next year, sometime at the beginning of next year, reviewing disposables now is going to be completely pointless in this channel. It's going to be completely pointless on this channel if it is a bona fide single-use disposable that we all recognise as a disposable, not these new kinds of disposables that aren't really disposables, like this thing that I recorded the review for 3 weeks ago. This isn't a disposable, but they're kind of marketing it as a disposable. It's not. It's a pod kit. It's a pod kit filled with disposable liquid. It's the Connects from Riot Squad. Oh, the triple mint one I've got in here. Oh, I've actually been kind of enjoying this. It's not. Oh, that's a bad fucking idea. Doing 20 milligram Nick salt when your throat's in this kind of a state. I've actually been enjoying these. Not much of a fan of the flavours, but I'm a fan of the nicotine. It's all about the nicotine for me. 20 milligram Nick salts in these little fellas. Flavours are way too strong for my liking though. But yeah, I've basically decided to stop reviewing disposables because it's over the course of the past 2 months. It didn't happen in January. It started happening round about midway through February. Midway through February, my inbox was becoming literally flooded with panic-stricken emails. And it was like, "Hi, Vaping with Vic. We want you to review our best disposable ever produced ever. Full stop, period. It's the best flavours ever." No, it's not. It's the same flavours that's in every other fucking disposable out there. It's the best flavours ever, and it's going to be completely TPD and TRPR compliant. They're panicking. They are literally panicking, and it's not just me that's getting these emails. There's a whole bunch of other reviewers that are also getting these emails because one of the companies done a CC and they didn't do a BCC, which is a blind carbon copy. They done a carbon copy, which meant I seen it was something like 70 email addresses in the carbon copy, and at half of those email addresses I recognised them because it was all reviewers, either in the UK, a handful in the United States, and a whole bunch in Europe. There is a lot of disposable makers that are now panicking, and they're not panicking just because of the fuck, hold on. I shouldn't have done this WhatsApp. My throat hasn't fucking recovered yet. But I figured you haven't done a WhatsApp in like 4 weeks now. You need to do something, Vic. But what the fuck was I talking about? Disposables. And it was like, it's like they know the ban is going to be implemented. They know it's coming. But the way that the ban's been announced, it turns out that this disposable ban is not going to be for a number of months yet. So a lot of these disposable manufacturers are now trying to cash in as quick as they possibly can to make as much money in the UK market as quick as they possibly can before that revenue flow stops. And I'm like, you know what? I'm taking nothing to do with this anymore. I've already reviewed like something like a dozen disposables over the past 8 or 9 months, which averages round about 1 or 2 disposable reviews every month. And the way I'm looking at it, number one, they're all using the same liquids. Literally, they're all using the same liquids. Number two, how many times can you review a disposable based on how well it tastes when they're all using the same fucking liquids? And number three, they're all the same. They're all the same. And I realised that in the 5th disposable review, but by the time the 5th disposable review came up at the end of last year, it was already too late. I'd already agreed to do other disposables going into the beginning of 2024. Well, now I'm not. And that's the reason there isn't much to review, because it's the way that the market is right now. It's either disposables or it's podcasts. That's all it is. There's nothing big being launched by any of the major companies right now, because a lot of the major companies are now taking a step back, not just from the UK market, but they're taking a step back from the European Union market, waiting to see what the next implementation of the white paper for the TPD is going to be, and they're now waiting to see what the fallout is going to be in the United Kingdom market with the different rules that are going to be coming into place, and the fuck's the name of that again? The questionnaire things. Those questionnaires that the UK government likes to fucking throw out, those things, they're taking a step back. In other words, basically the industry has slowed down, and I noticed it happening about 3 weeks after the UK government announced what they were planning to do, because there was a whole rash of TPD and TRPR compliant devices that were supposed to be getting released in April and May of this year. 3/4 of them have been cancelled. It's the industry now saying collectively, hold on a minute here, we're going to take a step back. We're going to keep producing the current pod kits that we've got. We're going to keep producing the current advanced vaping items that we've got. We're not going to make anything new right now, and we're going to take a step back and wait to see what happens. Of course, the off run of that is I've got fuck all to review. Well, there's a couple of items behind me, and there's 1 or 2 items coming in this week, well, next week now. But apart from that, there's been nothing apart from disposables. Literally nothing but disposables. To give you an idea, when I came back from hospital, right, because I was in hospital for 3 or 4 days, 4 days tops, I can't remember because I spent most of it drugged up, but I was in hospital for about 4 days, right. When I came back, after sleeping for the first day coming back, and then I checked the email on the 5th day, there was something like 200 odd emails in the inbox, and about half of those emails was about 50, 60 emails or something like that from the week previously when I was also feeling ill. But out of those 200 odd emails, about 90 of them, just under half, 90 of them, was email after email after email from about 20 different disposable companies panicking because I never replied to their first email because I was ill. So they panicked and kept sending email after email after email. Vic, please review our disposable. Please review our disposable. No. I'm done. I'm done with reviewing disposables. It's over. They're being banned in the UK. There's no way the UK government, whether it's going to be Labour or whether it's going to be Conservative, there's no way whatever UK government is in power in 2025 is going to backtrack on that ban. The ban is now in place. Nothing can be done about the ban. There's no legislative act that will reverse that. What we've got to concentrate now as UK vapors is them targeting flavours. That's what we've now got to concentrate on. The disposables are gone. There's no bringing them back. They're gone. And the way I'm looking at it, what the hell is the point of reviewing disposables if they're not going to be sold in the UK market for much longer? What's the point? So I'm not reviewing disposables anymore. Hence, there's fuck all left to review. Yeah. Plus, let's be honest. You lot watching this right now, the WhatsApp, you're not interested in disposable reviews. A lot of you are not even interested in podcast reviews. But more so of you just don't watch disposable because you're not using them. You're simply not using them. And I'm like, I could easily sit here and review 2-3 different disposables a week. And that would basically flood the channel with nothing but disposable reviews. Nobody would watch them. People would look at the channel and think, Dick's become a disposable reviewer. And that would just fuck up the channel going into 2025. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to stem the flow now and just say no more. And that's exactly what I done. No more. And plus, I'm not a fan of disposable flavours. Some of the flavours themselves are actually quite nice, but they're too fucking strong. It's like these things. The review for these went up during the week. The Deliciou range from Smoor, they're good flavours, but they're too fucking strong. They are way too strong for people like us, people that are watching this WhatsApp and normal vapors of short fill based stuff. These are way too strong. They become sickening if you vape them too much. But for disposable users, they're used to this. That's why this range was launched by Smoor. It's for the disposable market. I'll also cover the lack of review stuff. That was bound to happen. E-sig 101 has been extended. And I was thinking about this while I was up at hospital twiddling my fucking thumbs. I'm going to bring in a note card here. That's the wrong one, Vic. It's that one. So what I've basically done is I have extended out what some of these are going to be. Now, originally E-sig 101 Season 4 was slated to be 14 episodes. But the problem is, looking at the running order, Block 1 has basically been finished now, by the way, because it was already, the premise and all the notes were taken. Block 1's already been finished. Block 1 was basically finished just before I fell ill with the laryngitis. So Block 1 is an introduction to Season 4, introduction to Rebuildables. This is all the separate episodes. Rebuildable Tanks is Episode 3. Rebuildable Drippers is Episode 4. All About the Coils is Episode 5. Episode 6 is Taking Care of Rebuildables. Episode 7 is The Pitfalls of RTAs and RBAs. Block 2 is the hobbyist side, like the hobbyist side of vaping, like borrow tanks and all that kind of stuff. Episode 8, Introduction to the Hobbyist section. Episode 9, Borrow Devices. Episode 10, Squonkers. Episode 11 is High Power Mods, including potentiometer and FET base mods. Episode 12 is High End and Handmade mods. Episode 13 is Looking After mods, like stabilise wood and all that kind of stuff, how to care for stabilised wood mods. Block 3, which is the final block, is Introduction to Mechanicals for Episode 14. Episode 15 is Mechanical Devices, Teardown and Explanation. Episode 16 is Care of Mechanicals, if it's a metal tube mech, how to polish it, how to clean the contacts and all that kind of stuff. Episode 17 is all about batteries Part 2, because we're talking about mechanicals, and episode 18 is the wrap-up. There's been 3 extra episodes slotted in to each of the, one episode for each of the blocks, and that way there's an introduction for that block. The plan for Season 4, not Season 14, the plan for Season 4 is to run it in episodic blocks. So what I'm basically going to be doing is, fingers crossed, touch the wood, sometime next week, like this week coming, or the week after, midway through this month, block 1 is going to start going live. So episode 1, the introduction, and episode 2 is going to go up the same weekend. And then every Saturday following that, it's going to be an episode every Saturday. That's a block of 7 episodes. That's going to constitute the first block. Then there's going to be a break for 2 weeks, and then block 2 goes up. Again, an episode a week. Then there's going to be a break for a couple of weeks, and then block 3 goes up, and that should bring us to round about the end of summer, the very beginning of autumn, because there's like fucking 18 episodes, so that's like an episode a week essentially. That should bring us into the beginning of autumn. And basically what this means is, by the time the October Expo arrives, season 4 of E-sig 101 should have finished about a month and a half to 2 months before the October Expo hits. That's what I'm planning to do. And there's going to be a plan for specials, like one-off specials. One-off specials. It's not going to be a Series 5, although it might end up turning into Series 5. But there's going to be one-off specials that cover aspects of vaping that's going to go up on the channel after E-sig 101 Season 4 ends this year. So, yeah, that's going to be the plan for season 4. What I essentially done, when I was up at the hospital thinking about E-sig 101, is I decided to essentially split each of the 3 blocks into what is essentially a mini season all by itself. So people can basically skip the entire block to do with mechanicals if they don't want to do mechanicals, and just concentrate on the other 2 blocks. Or they can skip the bit about rebuildables if they just want to use stock coil tanks, for instance. They can skip the bit about rebuildables and go straight to borrow tanks, because if you look at what's happening with the borrow tank scene right now, you're seeing a lot of tanks being produced by borrow tank manufacturers that are stock coil tanks. Vapors Cloud released one not too long ago, actually. So if people want to skip the part about rebuildables, they're not interested in rebuildables, they can go straight to the borrow tanks and squonkers. Well, actually, if you're not going to be doing rebuildables, you're not going to be squonking, but you can still do rebuildable. You can still do stock coils in a borrow tank device, the one from Vapors Cloud. But you know what I mean. They can jump around season 4 once it's all up. They don't need to watch season 4 in its entirety, which is the way that season 1, 2 and 3 were set up. So 1, 2 and 3 were set up as full episodic playlists. In other words, episode 4 of season 2 had references to episode 3 of season 2, if you know what I mean. It was an episodic run. I'm trying to break that up for season 4. So it's going to be more along the lines of standalone individual episodes that are not really going to reference much to do with the previous episodes of that season. It's going to be basically locked in content for that single episode. That's what I'm trying to aim for with season 4, because the problem is, because season 4 is going to be so damn long, and it's going to be the biggest season out of all 4 of them, if I was to follow the same format that I done with season 1, 2 and 3, it would become a confusing fucking mess by the end of season 4, because I'm referencing too much of the content that came previously. Hence the redo of season 4. Hence the redo. But most of season 1, block 1, about rebuildables, has already been recorded. All I need to do is basically finish off the editing. There is a lot of fucking editing, but all I basically need to do is finish off the editing. So sometime during the next couple of weeks, expect to see E-sig 101 Season 4, Block 1 all about rebuildables launching on the channel, because block 1's done, and I've got about half of block 2. A lot of B-roll and a lot of FaceTime shots have already been recorded for that one, so block 2 is already halfway through production. It's already halfway through, and it also means, at least even if there's weeks that pop up, and there is going to be some weeks that are going to be popping up where there's nothing for review, at least there's still content going up on the channel, namely E-sig 101 Season 4. At least there's still content going up in the channel. And it also means that once E-sig 101 Season 4 has been finished, it clears the slates out for me to start concentrating more on the hour-long specials that I'm thinking of doing to cover specific aspects of vaping that Season 1, 2 and 3 hasn't really covered that much. I've got a few ideas for hour-long specials, kind of documentary style specials that's going to be put up on the channel once Season 4 is done and dusted. Yeah. And I think that basically covers it, folks. I don't want to ramble on for too long because I'm fucking struggling with this throat. One last thing though, and a lot of you probably seen the news. Where the hell did that note card go? Nah, can't find it, but it is the last thing anyway. Gaz Flat Cap, Mr. Flat of the Capness, has basically announced on his channel that he's essentially calling it a day for at least the reviews on his channel. Whether he still does the live shows or not, I don't know. I think he's given up the live shows as well. But yeah, Gaz Flat Cap's essentially hung up his camera. What that means for what he's going to do with the channel, I don't know. If he's just going to keep the channel up as a reference point for people that are looking for reviews sometime next year for older devices that they found in a bargain bin in the local vape shop, I don't know. But yeah, Gaz has basically announced that he's essentially stepping down from reviewing, and yeah, the points that, wow, that tank's empty. The points that he made are actually valid ones. The industry has changed. There's no getting around it. The industry has definitely changed. Because of the impending disposable ban, he's probably seen it as well. We're just being flooded with disposable requests for reviews. We're being flooded by them now. Absolutely flooded by them. And it used to be the case that all these disposable reviews were offset by requests to do podcast reviews, and maybe the occasional external battery device review, but the entire industry has slowed down. The whole industry has slowed down on the hardware side of things because of the impending laws that are going to be hitting the UK and the possible announcement of the rewrite of the TPD, which will basically become TPD3 over in the European Union, that may be happening this year. It looks like a lot of the hardware side of the industry over in China has basically slowed down to take a wait and see approach. And Gaz is a lot like me. He didn't want to do disposables. He's dabbled now and again with mentioning disposables, but he's not reviewed them. And I've basically said, that's it, I'm done with reviewing disposables. That's fucking pointless now because they're getting banned in the UK. There's no point in reviewing them now. So him, like me, we've got nothing to review. Nothing to review. Plus, Gaz is busy with the whole ATI stack thing that's going on as well. So all I can say, Gaz, if you're going to be watching this, good luck with ATI stack and good luck with anything that you plan to do with the channel in the future. By the looks of it, you're going to be staying in the vaping scene. You're just going to stop doing videos. And the way that the scene is right now, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I can definitely see where you're coming from. Everything is up in the air right now. Not just with the legislation that's happening in the UK, but everything is up in the air hardware wise. Totally up in the air. The longer that companies in Shenzhen and China decide to take a stance of producing their older stuff to keep the income going, but not creating anything new to release onto the market, the longer that keeps going, the more detrimental impact it's going to have on the industry as a whole in the UK and in the European Union. I can only hope that this step back and wait and see approach ends sometime before the middle of summer, because the longer it drags on, the more it's going to hurt the vape shops up and down the country. Simple as that. Simple as that. Anyway, there will be a return to the reviews this coming week, folks. All freshly recorded stuff, not stuff that was recorded 3 weeks ago that I didn't have a chance to edit. So there's going to be a couple of hardware reviews, and there's going to be a few juice reviews as well. I've got 3 new ones from Aramaxi, including a new one from Lancashire Steam Company. There's a name I haven't mentioned in this channel for a very fucking long time. George from Lancashire Steam Company sent me one of their new liquids out, and I thought Lancashire Steam Company wasn't even trading anymore. I thought they shut down, but apparently they're still up and about. So there's going to be a couple of juice reviews next week as well. From Aramaxi, three new ones from them, and a new one from the fine folks over at Lancashire Steam Company, along with 2 hardware reviews as well. What happens after next? I know there's 2 items that's coming in this coming week, and that's it. Because I've had no other emails come in apart from fucking disposable reviews. I've had no other emails come in. Just those 2 new items next week, and that's it. So yeah, things are going to be up in the air. They're going to be up in the air on the channel as I'm basically waiting for Shenzhen over in China to start producing new hardware. Yeah. All they can do though is basically wait and see. Anyway, that is it from me, folks. As always, thanks for watching and have a good one.